I wanted to read out loud the City on a Hill sermon. The other title for it is The Model of Christian Charity. It's something we usually do in class, have me read it out loud just to be able to pause and help you through some of the language. So if you have your text out, we follow along, and I'll stop and often help with some of the sermon passage. I'd read with a pen or pencil in hand so you can write on your document, and that way you have those notes. So right away at the top, this isn't part of the sermon. It's from the Bible verse that the preacher, John Winthrop, is taking this from. And so he is referring to the book of Matthew, Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, the famous sermon. And in that, Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and give light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." And so Winthrop's on the boat, and this is an excerpt from the sermon, probably the most famous part of that sermon. And here is what he says. "Thus stands the cause between God and us. We are entered into covenant." Now remember, covenant is a contract. He's saying there is currently a contract between God and us. "We are entered into covenant with him for this work. We have taken out a commission. The Lord hath given us leave to draw our own articles. We have professed to enterprise these and those accounts upon these and those ends. We have hereupon besought him a favor and blessing." In other words, we are seeking from God his favor and blessing. That's part of this contract. "Now, if the Lord shall please to hear us and bring us in peace to the place we desire," in other words, if we get to America, "then hath he ratified this covenant and sealed our commission, and will expect a strict performance of the articles contained in it." If we get there, God is saying, I agreed to the contract. "But," Winthrop says, "but if we shall neglect the observation of these articles, if we don't hold up our end, which are the ends we have propounded, and dissembling with our God, shall fall and embrace this present world and prosecute our carnal intentions, seeking great things for ourselves and our posterity, if we go that way, if we don't hold up our end, the Lord will surely break out in wrath against us and be revenged on such people, and make us know the price of the breach of such a covenant. Now, the only way to avoid this shipwreck and to provide for our posterity is to follow the counsel of Micah." Micah is an Old Testament prophet. It is a book of the Bible. And so here, Winthrop's going to quote a famous verse that everyone in his audience would have known. He says, we must do what Micah said to do. Here's what we have to do. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly. That is worth underlining in this text. What are values of these people? Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. For this end, we must be knit together in this work as one man. We must entertain each other in brotherly affection. We must be willing to abridge ourselves of our superfluities. That means extra. The supply of others' necessities. We must give up our extra to help those who don't have enough. We must uphold a familiar commerce together in all meekness, gentleness, patience, and liberality. You can underline all of those words. Those are values of the Puritans. We must delight in each other, make others' conditions our own, rejoice together, mourn together, labor and suffer together, always having before our eyes our commission and community in the work as members of the same body. You can write in the margin, community over self. We before I. So shall we keep the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. The Lord will be our God and delight to dwell among us as his own people, and will command a blessing upon us in all our ways, so that we shall see so much more of his wisdom, power, goodness, and truth than formerly we have been acquainted with. That's what's in it for us as Puritans, says John Winthrop. We get those things. We shall find that the God of Israel is among us, when 10 of us shall be able to resist 1,000 of our enemies. When he shall make us a praise and glory that men shall say of succeeding plantations, may the Lord make it like that of New England. We will be an example for everyone. People will want to be like us if we behave in those ways, if we do all the things that he just said. And then we have this bolded print. For we must consider that we shall be as a city on a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us, so that if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, and so cause him to withdraw his present help from us, we shall be made a story and a byword through the world. If we don't live up to it, the whole world is watching. We will be an embarrassment. The whole world and the whole world's faith will be harmed if we are not able to do the things we said we're going to do. We shall open the mouths of enemies to speak evil the ways of God, and all professors for God's sake. We shall shame the faces of many of God's worthy servants and cause their prayers to be turned into curses upon us, till we be consumed out of the good land whither we are going. So earlier we got, if we fill our end of the contract, our end of the covenant, we'll get this. But now if we don't, here's the consequence. And one of the significant consequences is we will not only cause shame to ourselves, but we will cause shame to all those who claim to be following the ways of God. So to end it, he says this, and to shut this discourse with that exhortation of Moses. Again, Moses is a major Old Testament figure. That faithful servant of the Lord in his last farewell to Israel in Deuteronomy 30. This is, again, part of the Bible. Here's Moses' words that John Winthrop was saying. These are important right now. It says, Beloved, there is now set before us life and death, good and evil, in that we are commanded this day to love the Lord our God, to love one another, to walk in his ways and keep his commandments and his ordinance and his laws and the articles of our covenant with him, that we may live and be multiplied. That's what's in it for us. And that the Lord our God may bless us in the land whither we shall possess it. But if our hearts shall turn away, so that they will not obey, but shall be seduced and worship other gods, our pleasure and profits, if we worship pleasure and profits and serve them, it is propounded unto us this day, we shall surely perish, we shall surely die out of the good land whither we pass over this vast sea to possess it. Therefore let us choose life, that we and our seed may live, by obeying his voice and cleaving to him, for he is our life and our prosperity. And that's one of the most famous passages that we have referred to here in America often, this idea of America as the city on a hill.